you've been doing comedy for a while now. So what got you interested in doing that as a career?
Well, it's kind of crazy. So, like being a kid, I always wanted to do comedy. I guess you could say. Like from the time I was like probably like maybe 6 or 7, I knew that like I always loved TV, but like I knew that like there was a writer and a director and like producers and people that make the thing exist, and it's all fake. And I always wanted to be a part of that. Like I
Mhm.
thought that was so cool. Like something about it, I was like, this is so interesting. Like the names behind the names,
Yeah.
I thought was really interesting. So I fell in love with that, and originally thought of like, oh, I want to be a director, and then got older and realized this the writer makes the story, not the director. So I was
Mhm.
like, I'll be a writer, and I always loved comedy. And then in high school, how can I say this? I was a not so great student. Terrible. I was bad. Speaking of how much I love TV, I used to think high school was almost like those sitcoms, where like the older brother is a terrible student, but somehow he gets into college anyway.
Yeah.
So I was stuck here for community college and still loving comedy. All my friends are gone, and just seeing it over and over and over again, and being at that age where you get to analyze the specific type of comedy you love, whether it's like Gary Shandling or something, or like Judd Apatow movies, or Chappelle or the Boondocks or something. You get to like curate your own shit. It's the first time late in your teens where you really get to understand yourself.
Yeah.
So after doing that, I saw so much of it, and I realized I could do it, or felt I could do it. And then I basically lied to my mother. I told her I was moving out to New York to still go to community college or whatever. And but as soon as, decided I was moving to New York, I knew I was going to drop out of school,
Mm.
you know? And that's really how I like started. I basically moved in to my like small apartment, my room in a small apartment. And my brother helped me move in, I believe. Yeah, and then they dropped me off, and immediately that day, I just dropped my bags and went to an open mic, and I haven't looked back since. So yeah, long story, but yeah, that's how that.
It's funny what you mentioned earlier. I want to say like in elementary school, I grew up watching Saved by the Bell. So I always thought, and kind of yeah, I would say elementary school. So I always thought like that's how high school would be for me. Like growing up
Yeah,
here in South Florida, and the high school that I went to was like, uh, so I'll say this: it's like an F grade school. So that so it was like just real, like
really bad. Yeah.
really bad high school here, like, talking about, like, fights almost every day going on, gang
Uh,
violence, a lot of stuff going on, and so for this whole time, I'm thinking, "Oh, man, I can't wait to join high school. It's gonna be like Saved
yeah.
by the Bell. I'm gonna have, like, live that Zach Morris lifestyle, like, get
Oh.
with the most popular girl in the school as a cheer."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's high school. That's gonna be high school," and totally wasn't for me.
Oh no, it definitely isn't. I think writers too. Like as I've been writing more and thinking of more ideas, I do think we have more of a responsibility to like portray things,
Oh, yeah.
at least for kids,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a more realistic uh,
Mm.
way of life.
Well, and you're really big into movies and you've been posting some things on your YouTube channel called Rizdon
Yes,
Reviews. So do you want to explain what that is?
there is the reviews. So basically, what they are is like you're saying, it's a YouTube series that I need to stay more on top of, quite frankly. But basically, I watch a movie, and I basically like I review it, but they're mostly just movies that I like.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like if you notice, if you watch them, I give like an in-depth analysis of all the movies that I watch. But you
Mhm.
notice I don't give any of the movies below 3 stars, because they're all movies. Like I don't see the point of like really like bringing out movies I don't like and shitting on somebody else's filmmaking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I might
Yeah.
disagree with components or
Yeah.
segments of it, but all in all, if I'm going to show you something on YouTube, I want to show you something that you're going to watch and be like, "Fuck, that was cool,"
Yeah.
and like really strange or inventive.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's basically all I do. It's relatively simple, but I really, I really love it. Honestly, I just love talking movies, man. You a movie
So
guy?
I am. It's hard to find for at least for me. I don't know much people that actually are really into movies as much as I am. I mean, a lot of people can say they like movies, but I really like look at a movie, and I love like a movie series too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any movie recommendations that you have can provide for our listeners?
Yeah, sure. There's a few actually that I really like. So, there's a couple episodes on my YouTube, but there's a few episodes I'm about to put out. And one of the movies that I really like is this movie called John versus His Future Self. And it's basically about it's an indie sci-fi movie, which I really, really love because like indie sci-fi is so fun because it's like they're doing so much work with no money, so they're trying to like figure out ways to do it. And obviously like a lot of times with indie sci-fi too, it's like because they have no money, they can't show you the thing that a regular sci-fi movie would be showing you.
Uh huh.
So they're figuring out like clever ways to still have you be engaged. So it usually makes the story a lot stronger too. And a lot of those movies too that I pick. Some are truly amazing, amazing, but or extraordinary. But a lot of them are just really good movies that I think people should see, and they're like, they don't have to be art house movies. They're just fun,
Yeah.
but it's just they're indie, and I want to help like filmmakers who are still trying to sell their thing.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. Wrist Cutters is a really good one too. That's kind of an older movie. Has some people that you might recognize in it and stuff. What is it? You ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi's brother
Okay.
is in the movie. Yeah, he plays like a Russian guy in it and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of good people. I think Emil Hirsch, I believe, is in it. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I like indie movies that I can tell are cheaply made, but really, really well made at the same time.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the best camera, but they have the best shots. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I love that type of stuff.
As long as the content is good, that's all that matters.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you know how to direct and you know how to edit and
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and the sound is great, that's
Yeah.
all you really need. You can have shitty video quality,
Yeah.
and people will deal with it because we
Yeah.
still watch old shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as it's good, it's good. So
Oh
just
yeah.
make it good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Seriously.
What about
And
you? What? Oh, sorry. Go on.
no, go ahead. What were you gonna
I
ask?
was going to ask you what about you? Like, what type of movies and stuff do you usually watch? Do you like?
Well, I'm a science fiction fan. I wouldn't say I delve too much deep into science fiction. I would say I'm more of like a big Star Wars person.
Of course,
I
yeah.
love James Bond movies. Like I watch every one. I know there's one coming up, and I'm always on those James Bond movies.
Excited. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm basic like that though. When I say I like movies, it's like stuff like that.
No, but you can still find the art in movies like that.
Uh
Like
huh.
that's the thing. I mean, half of the movies, not half of them, but a small section of the movies on, my Rizdon reviews are relatively big movies. They're like Netflix movies.
Yeah.
A Spike Lee movie or something like that. Like I'm gonna do one. Midnight Sky has George Clooney in it.
Okay.
You know, so it's like you can still, I mean, there's a reason those directors are the biggest directors in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
And it's not just nepotism and who It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's because they're extremely talented and they know how to drive a story, So
Yeah.
there's no guilt in that. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't give a shit, man. If something's good, it's good. I do not care. I like Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. If the song's good, the song's good.
Well, it's funny when I was young, when I don't know if you remember the movie Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when that movie came out, I think this was like the mid 90s when it came out. That to me, that was the greatest movie ever. Like you
It's
couldn't
an
tell
awesome
me
movie.
anything different. Yeah. And it is technically it still holds. Like it is like
It
still a good
does.
movie.
Honestly, it's even more poignant now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. People got to get into it to really understand that statement. But yeah, I mean, there's so much like you can break down that movie. But like when I was a kid, that was the best movie ever. And then as I became an adult, I'm like, I was a kid at the time, but yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, like you think about a lot of stuff that goes on there. Like that's a deep movie.
Dude, that movie is deep.